Imagine a steam engine.
Fully functional, producing rotational power, not in a grimy Manchester factory of the 1800s, but humming quietly in the sun-drenched intellectual heart of Alexandria, almost 2,000 years before James Watt was even born. What if the defining technology of the Industrial Revolution, the very symbol of modernity, was understood, demonstrated, and even meticulously documented by an engineer in the 1st century CE? This isn't speculation. It's a profound, undeniable fact, often missing from our textbooks. Slow, it rewrites everything. In this deep dive, you are about to confront the startling truth of hero of Alexandria's Aeolipile, a genuine steam engine with detailed schematics that survived the ravages of time, and uncover precisely why this ancient marvel forces us to utterly rethink the entire narrative of global technological progress. The standard narrative, the one ingrained in most of us from school, paints a clear picture. The steam engine burst forth as the transformative power of the 18th century Industrial Revolution. It was an invention intrinsically tied to the demand for pumping water out of ever deeper coal mines in England, a direct response to a new economic and industrial landscape. This is the era of James Watt, Matthew Boulton, of immense cast iron machines belching smoke and transforming society. The story is clean, linear, and makes perfect sense within the framework of European industrial development. We picture towering brick chimneys, the clatter of machinery, the shift from agrarian life to factory towns, all heralded by the advent of reliable steam power. It's a powerful, almost mythological origin story for the modern world. Before this pivotal moment, the story goes, the world relied on muscle, on the brute force of humans and animals, supplemented by the fickle power of water wheels and windmills. These were ingenious solutions, certainly, perfectly adapted to their environments, but fundamentally limited. The ancient world, for all its philosophical brilliance and architectural grandeur, for all its pyramids and aqueducts, is rarely credited with mechanical innovation that truly prefigures such industrial might. They built incredible structures, yes, but primarily with immense manpower, meticulously organized labor, and relatively basic tools. Their science, we are often told, was frequently theoretical, an elegant exercise in logic and geometry, but often lacking the intense practical application that would drive true technological leaps. The very concept of a fully articulated, self-contained prime mover, independent of natural forces or muscle, seems utterly alien to that historical period. It simply doesn't fit the picture of antiquity we've been given. We learn about Archimedes and his levers, yes, but not about engines. This perception frames ancient civilizations as technologically stagnant, or at best, slowly evolving towards more complex forms, but certainly not possessing the conceptual framework for something as sophisticated as a steam engine. We assume that the necessary scientific understanding, thermodynamics, pressure, material science, was simply not present. The idea that a culture could conceive of, design, and even construct a machine that extracts usable power from steam is usually reserved for a much, much later era. But what if this widely accepted history, this comfortable timeline of progress, is missing a colossal, steaming piece of the puzzle? A piece that directly challenges the very foundations of our understanding of ancient capabilities. What if the seeds of the Industrial Revolution were sown, cultivated, and even briefly blossomed in the Hellenistic age? This isn't just about a single inventor, it's about reassessing an entire civilization's capacity for innovation. Consider the sheer intellectual arrogance implicit in assuming that advanced mechanical principles were simply beyond the grasp of the most brilliant minds of antiquity, minds that gave us Euclidean geometry, advanced astronomy, and the philosophical underpinnings of Western thought. We believe this because our historical narratives, often Eurocentric and focused on a seemingly linear progression, tend to overlook or downplay discoveries that don't fit neatly into the established sequence leading to Western industrialization. It's a convenient blindness, born of a need for simplicity in history. But history, the real kind, is rarely simple. The truth explodes from the ancient texts themselves, specifically from the writings of a 1st century CE engineer, mathematician, and physicist named Hero of Alexandria. His work, particularly the Pneumatica, is not some cryptic, half-understood fragment. No, it is a detailed, practical treatise describing numerous devices, including a device he called the Aeolipile. This wasn't a toy. This wasn't a philosophical thought experiment. This was a demonstrable, controlled application of steam to generate continuous rotary motion. The Aeolipile was a hollow metal sphere, often made of bronze, mounted on two pivots, allowing it to rotate freely. Steam, generated in a sealed cauldron or boiler situated directly below the sphere, traveled through one of the hollow pivots into the sphere's interior. From two opposing L-shaped nozzles on the sphere's surface, tubes bent at right angles, the steam expelled with force, causing the sphere to spin rapidly, demonstrating the principle of jet propulsion through steam reaction. It's a genuine reaction steam turbine, a self-contained engine that converted thermal energy into rotational mechanical energy. Think about that for a moment. This is a prime mover, a device capable of performing work, all powered by the expansion of water vapor. Does that sound like something that should only appear in the 1800s? Hero even describes its construction with enough clarity that modern engineers can, and have, successfully replicated it. These aren't vague sketches, these are engineering diagrams, explicit instructions for assembly and operation. The schematics show precisely how to build it: a sealed cauldron, pipes connecting the cauldron to the sphere, the rotating sphere itself, and the all-important angled nozzles designed to expel steam in a specific direction to create rotational thrust. This level of detail elevates the Aeolipile beyond a mere curiosity. It was a fully realized operational machine, a testament to sophisticated mechanical understanding. The city of Alexandria in Hero's time was a nexus of unparalleled intellectual activity. Home to the legendary library and museum, it was a melting pot of Greek, Egyptian, and other influences, attracting the brightest minds from across the Hellenistic world. It was an environment where theoretical knowledge from Greek philosophy combined with the practical engineering traditions of Egypt and the East. Hero was not an isolated genius, but a product of this vibrant, cross-disciplinary intellectual tradition. His descriptions in the Pneumatica include complex automata, temple doors that opened by themselves using heated air, and various other pneumatic and hydraulic marvels. This was an ecosystem of innovation, a city where theoretical brilliance met practical application in astonishing ways, suggesting a deep-seated understanding of physics, pneumatics, and hydraulics. Professor Lynn Townsend White Jr., a prominent historian of technology, once highlighted how the lack of industrial need has often been cited as the reason for the Aeolipile's non-development. But that's a post hoc rationalization. The invention itself existed. It wasn't that the concept was beyond them, it was that the immediate societal conditions didn't compel its widespread adoption. The revelation is simple, yet shattering. The fundamental principles of steam power, conversion of heat to motive force, were not only grasped but embodied in a functional machine nearly 2 millennia before the Industrial Revolution. And it changes everything you thought you knew about the trajectory of human ingenuity. So, if the steam engine existed in ancient Alexandria, why wasn't history irrevocably altered? Why didn't Hero's Aeolipile kickstart an ancient industrial revolution? The answer, ironically, lies not in a lack of technical capability, but in the socio-economic structure of the ancient world. The primary energy source for most large-scale work was not coal or oil, but human and animal muscle power. Slavery, unfortunately, was a pervasive and economically viable institution. In a society where labor was cheap and plentiful, there was simply less driving force, less urgent economic pressure to invest in and scale up labor-saving machinery like the Aeolipile. There was no desperate need to pump water from deep mines, no demand for textile mills that required mechanical rather than human power for mass production. The economic incentives that spurred the Industrial Revolution simply weren't present. Historian Lucio Russo argues compellingly that the sophistication of Hellenistic science, particularly in Alexandria, often surpassed what was practically applied because of these very social structures. The elite, the patrons of these brilliant inventors, often viewed such devices as curiosities, parlor tricks, or mechanisms for religious awe, rather than tools for economic transformation. They admired the cleverness, the artistry, the intellectual achievement, but saw little practical use for widespread application. A temple door opening magically for a supplicant was impressive. An automated factory was perhaps not even conceivable in their existing economic paradigm. Consider the sheer breadth of Alexandrian ingenuity that existed alongside the Aeolipile. They had complex gear trains, primitive vending machines, even the Antikythera mechanism, an astronomical calculator of staggering complexity from the 2nd century BCE. These were not simple folks fumbling in the dark. This was a civilization on the cusp of truly astounding mechanical breakthroughs, demonstrating an astonishing grasp of intricate mechanisms, precision engineering, and the conversion of different forms of energy. The Aeolipile shows us that the intellectual groundwork, the scientific understanding, the engineering prowess was all there. It wasn't a case of they couldn't do it. It was a case of they didn't need to. Or rather, the existing power structures didn't provide the impetus for large-scale adoption. This changes how we perceive the ancients. No longer are they merely philosophers and builders of static monuments. They emerge as brilliant applied scientists, tinkers, and engineers whose understanding of physics and mechanics was far more advanced than most history curricula grant them credit for. They were not waiting for the right century to invent. They simply invented, and then their inventions found different fates within their own societal contexts. It's a profound shift in perspective. It's a reminder that progress isn't always linear. Innovation can appear, flourish, and then recede, waiting for the right confluence of social, economic, and technological factors to truly ignite. The Aeolipile wasn't a dead end. It was a dormant seed, a seed planted almost 2,000 years before its time, waiting for different soil conditions to truly take root and blossom into a revolution. This challenges the notion that ancient societies were inherently primitive in their technological outlook. They simply operated under a different set of constraints and motivations, constraints that in hindsight prevented the widespread adoption of technologies that were intellectually and mechanically well within their grasp. The ingenuity was undeniable. The economic imperative for industrialization was simply absent. The steam engine was there, ready, waiting. It forces us to ask, how many other modern inventions might have had ancient precursors, lost or misunderstood because they didn't fit our neat historical categories? You now understand that the very concept of ancient technology needs a radical re-evaluation. The Hellenistic period, especially the intellectual hub of Alexandria, wasn't just a cradle of philosophy and mathematics, it was a crucible of astonishing mechanical engineering. You can no longer look at the 1st century CE and dismiss it as merely a prelude to later, real innovation. You now see it as a vibrant, technologically sophisticated era, brimming with the potential that under different circumstances could have changed the entire course of human history centuries earlier. You see a world that possessed the conceptual tools for an industrial age long before that age ever truly dawned. Ancient history is not just a story of decline and fall, it's a saga of breathtaking, forgotten ingenuity. The story of heroes Aeolipile is a powerful testament to the forgotten genius of antiquity, a brilliant flash of steam power from an unexpected epoch. It is just one example of how the true historical record, when finally uncovered and understood, consistently shatters our preconceived notions. Continue to challenge what you think you know. Keep questioning the accepted narratives, because in the archives of history, amidst the overlooked texts and the forgotten blueprints, there are countless more revelations waiting to redefine our entire understanding of the human story.